Let's give a warm welcome to David.
Let's talk about PowerPoint. Now, a lot of what I'm going to share with you today would apply to other computer slideshow programs. There's Google Slides, there's others, but PowerPoint is the one that most people use. And often, they do use it badly. It's probably easier to use it badly than it is to use well, which is true of most things. The first decision you should make about PowerPoint is, should you use PowerPoint? Do you need computerized visual aids? Don't do it just because you've kind of gotten in the habit where you think that's just how business presentations are done. Don't think it's going to make you look more professional. Because if you do it badly, it won't. The speakers we tend to admire most are the ones who can hold us spellbound just with their words, just with their body language, maybe a few slides, but very crisp, clear slides. So what don't you want to do? Well, this is courtesy of your taxpayer dollars, the Department of Defense. What's this slide about?
Who knows?
This is a slide about simplification. That's the word that's circled over here. But too many words, too many images. And I see a lot of people making the mistake of fitting too many images on the slide just because they can. Don't be this person who pours out the entire script of their speech in an outline, a bunch of bullet points. Dial that back a little bit. You want to be closer to this. This is Steve Jobs, who was famous for dazzling product introduction presentations, typically with just one striking image on the screen, or just one statistic in 10,000 point type. He lets you know exactly what it was that you were supposed to focus on. Now, one of the first decisions you make if you're creating a PowerPoint presentation is what template to use. So there are a bunch of built-in templates. You can search for additional ones online. And these have some advantages. They all have sort of fonts and colors and designs that go well together. So they're a good starting point. But for educational purposes, I'm going to start with just the blank presentation over here. So we click on this, and we start filling in the spaces. So we have some basic things set up here, but we can go ahead and then change the background. So a gradient just means it gradually changes color from one to the other. We can change what color we're using there, or we can use a solid color. We can change the color around. So these are things that are all sort of built in as guidelines, as starting points. But you can resize all these things. You can change the fonts and so forth. When we go to add a new slide, we can choose what layout it should have. So again, they have some standard layouts, but these are, again, our starting points. We can resize all these elements. We can change the default layout for a particular page. And these include things like placeholders for an image. So I add an image. I add a title to go with that image. And again, that's just something to get me started. Now, how do we add images? How do we make our images better? So here's a picture of me presenting, and maybe I really like that image. When I add this as the only element on the page, PowerPoint actually gives me some design suggestions. There's a design tab across the top also, where if it doesn't immediately pop up, you can access that. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to crop this, because maybe I really like this picture, but I just noticed that my fly was down during the entire presentation. And so I need to crop this to just above the waist. So I right-clicked and I chose crop. And I didn't even honestly know that this was in PowerPoint, but you can crop the images right within here without going to a separate image editor. And once I have it cropped, I can then resize it again. If I want it to fill the whole screen, I can do that. And there are some helpful, these are all little framing things up here. So, don't overuse these, but if I really liked that oval, I can choose that and then resize it a little bit until it fits in the frame the way that I want it to. Again, we're not over-cluttering the slide. I'm not saying this is going to win any awards, but this is how I could crop an image. I see a lot of people using images that have extraneous information on them. Maybe they grab something out of a product catalog and it has the price on it. If that's not important information to your speech, crop it out. Don't overuse features in PowerPoint. There are a lot of features that you should either never use or you should use very sparingly, such as the animated transitions. Yes, you can animate every single bullet appearing on the slide, but you shouldn't be doing that all the time. What would be a more meaningful use of an animation? Well, maybe I have a big reveal I want to make. Here's our new sponsor, drum roll please, and then we bring out the announcement that Geeks on Tour has decided to sponsor this project. So I'm going back here to a slide, a copy of this slide that doesn't have the animations added yet. I select the image that I want to fly in, and there are a bunch of different effects across the top. I'll choose fly in for both of the images. And it previews it right away. And then I'm going to customize the second one a little bit more. Instead of making me click each time, I'm going to say right after the previous one goes, I want the next one to go. So I just have them go in sequence. And I can do this with any element in the page, including the title. So I'll have this grow in turn. Maybe that would be one animation too many, but if you wanted to do it, that's how you would do it. Lois specifically asked how you add a video to a PowerPoint, which I've been doing throughout here. So this is how you would do it if you have the video as a file on your computer, which is what I prefer if possible. So I'm adding this promo video of Lois and Marilyn talking about Club Awesome. I can resize that just like I would resize an image by grabbing the corners. But what I really want to do is I want to control how this plays back. So I right-click, and I go to Start here. There's also a playback menu up top. You'll see in a moment. And right now, it would start the next time I click, but I want it to start automatically when I go to this slide. So I'll change that, and we'll play it.
What makes this club special is the energy level that every single one of our members brings into this room on Friday.
So you can also grab a video off of YouTube, and there's actually a little search feature built right in here where I can type in Club Awesome Toastmasters, I can find a video and add it here. Now, I don't like doing this as much, partly because what if there's not an internet connection in the room? Or what if it's not working at the particular moment when I really need it to work? Also, if I go to this playback tab, and this is where it is at the top of the screen, there's no option here to make it start automatically. So in this room, I would actually either have to walk across the room and physically click on that placeholder image on the screen, or maybe I'd ask Bruce to do it since he's sitting right there. At the end, it's good to give some follow-up information. How do people reach you? What's some additional information? But what's wrong here? Who's going to sit there and write down that long, complicated address that only makes sense to a computer? So ideally, you would shorten that, or you would have a webmaster that you're working with shorten that to something like clubawesome.org.powerpoint. Or what I might want to do is just say, follow me on Twitter. And right after we get out of this presentation, I'll be posting a bunch of helpful links. So there I'm serving two purposes. I'm building my social media audience, I'm building my personal brand, and I'm giving people an easy address that they can actually type, and some people might do it while they're sitting in the event. So, follow me on Twitter, write me a message. This is a live link, and after I get a chance to edit this all together, I'll post a replay so that the people who weren't here today are able to see it. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, David.